of mindfulness then is that we want it to use it to help assess where we're at. We want to also use mindfulness to help us stretch our window, understand when we're reaching our limits before we end up getting outside this window. And then the next aspect is to take steps to bring it back in. So let's go through a little bit of a mindfulness exercise here now. We're going to practice our gauges. So again, the gauges are the physical sensations that we're going to experience in our body that let you know when something is happening. It will let you know if something is good. It will let you know if something seems to not be as helpful for you. And then again, after we understand our gauges, we can then create we can then make an assessment based on that. We always want to practice our gauges and practice mindfulness and first a bit more of a benign setting or with some benign items. We don't want to jump right into the hard stuff because it's like we're learning how to crawl. We don't want to just start running marathons if you haven't really tried on these shoes before and we haven't really learned how to walk. So we're going to do that first. So in a benign setting, we're going to go through one activity of assessing our gauges and understanding what our body sensations are. And then I'm going to give you a couple other ones that you might be able to try later on this week too. So if you guys want to get comfortable, I'll just turn us here a little bit towards our plants. You can pretend we're in a forest. And we'll go through a body scan here first. So I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable. Just get into a position that works for you. And we're going to start with the top of the head. And as your awareness is at the top of your head, just let that awareness melt over your face and your head. Noticing if you feel any sensations here. Then down your neck, maybe your throat. Out to your shoulders. And down your right arm to your elbow. All the way out to your fingertips. And then your left shoulder, down your left arm, to your elbow, and all the way out to your fingertips. And just noting any sensation at all. Maybe there's a temperature, your hands feel cold. Maybe there's a pressure if your hands are resting against your legs. Maybe you feel your clothes on your arm. Bringing your awareness back up to your chest, down to your abdomen, and then back up to the back of your neck and down your upper back, all the way down your spine to your lower back and to your pelvis. And just noting any of the sensations you feel here. Maybe you feel something, perhaps you don't. There's no judgment at all. Be graceful with yourself. That the time here of sitting here and practicing this is exactly the purpose. There's no attachment to the outcomes of feeling one thing or another. And then moving your awareness from your pelvis, down your legs, down your thighs, front, side, and back, to your knees, and down your lower legs, around your ankles, and all the way out to your toes. And that was just a baseline scan to understand where your body is at right now. Again, maybe you felt some big sensations, or maybe not. And the purpose is to be non-judgmental and just allow them to be experienced. Just to be curious about them. And now think of a time when you were hungry. perhaps you are now getting ready to eat or thinking about eating. What is your indication that it is time to eat? Perhaps you're diabetic and your sugar goes low and you start to get a bit dizzy. Perhaps you feel a pain in your stomach. Perhaps you smell cooking because someone's preparing food. Or maybe it's a feeling, an emotion that feels really hard, and food is going to be a comfort for you. Think of that time of you preparing to want to eat. What is that sensation in the body that indicates that this is what you're going to do next? Is there a sensation in the body in a particular place? There may be thoughts that go along with it, but again, tie it back to the sensation that you feel in your body. Maybe you have a sensation in your jaw, or your mouth is creating more saliva. Maybe it's a sensation in your throat or down the core of your chest or your stomach. What is your body gauge right now that tells you it's time to eat? And then as a next step, I want you to think of your favorite food. It might be an experience with a food that made it wonderful. It might be the taste of the food. And as you're thinking about this food, again, note any sensations in your body. Maybe there's just an overall sense of lightness and easiness, an overall sense of uplifting or joy. Or maybe it's something very specific, like a tingling in your abdomen. And just acknowledge that and understand that this is your body's gauge, a positive, yes, this is what I want. And then I want you to think of a food that you very much dislike. Just take a moment to get that image in your mind, the smell of it, what colors is it, what's the scenario you see. And when that picture is clear in your mind, again, feel what is happening in your body. Perhaps there is an overall sense of heaviness. Perhaps there's a weight in your chest. Or maybe your toes tingle. Maybe you feel a pulling away or a closing in. What are these sensations in your body that are indicating that this is not something you want? What is this gauge that's indicating this is a negative thing for you? And then just bringing back to the present moment, we'll just ground and do another body scan here. Starting at the tips of your toes and feeling the pressure of the floor maybe against your feet, and working your awareness up your feet to your ankles, up your legs, to your pelvis. Maybe you feel a cushion on your bottom. And then up your abdomen to your chest. Maybe you feel the clothes against your skin, or your arms leaning against your side body. Maybe you feel your chest rise and fall as you breathe. And then bringing your awareness again to the bottom of your lower back and up your back, all the way up your spine to your upper back and neck. And bringing your awareness to the tips of your fingers, up your hands to your wrists, and arms to your elbows, up your upper arm to your shoulders, and up your neck, and then around your face, your head, back of your head, all the way up to the top point at the very top of your head. And you can wrinkle your fingers and toes, and I invite you to open your eyes if they were closed. And that was just one way of practicing a gauge. Again, in a really benign scenario at first, so that we can then better understand those indications of a yes, this might be good for me, or a no, this isn't great for me right now. Or just understanding what your body does in different scenarios. Maybe it's not necessarily a positive or negative or a benefit or a drawback, but just understanding how we can actually start to listen to our body for it to then provide us some information. I encourage you to try this one over the next week or so, even over today for sure, of understanding what are those signs. How do you know that it's time to eat? What are the sensations around your body that are indicating that? And then there's two other ones that you can do as well. One would be to actually, when you're picking out your clothes, pick two items. You might need to actually even try them both on, but maybe even looking at them, you can have an understanding of if you're going to prefer one or prefer the other. Maybe try it on and just stand or sit, whatever it is for you, for a moment, and just see if there's something subtle that your body is indicating to you. See if there's a subtle sensation that's just a slight more of a yes to you, or a bit more of a not today. And maybe you need to try them both on, then try the other one on as well. And again, stand for a minute. The important aspect of this is that it does take time. And we need to take time in order to listen and then be able to move forward from there. Another one that you could try is to assess which way to go when you're on a walk. So if you come to an area where there's a fork in the road or there's an option to turn, maybe just check in and see, okay, today I have the time. I'm going to explore which way might be best for me. What is my intuition telling me? What are these sensations of my body that'll give me an indication that this is a bit of a better way to go, or that it's just going to be slightly more positive for me to go this way. And maybe you go a couple steps down in that direction and wait and pause and see. And then maybe you have to go back a couple steps in the other direction and see if there's something that resonates a little bit better with you. I encourage you to practice all of these this week. Next week, we're going to go into understanding how to ground ourselves, a couple different techniques to do with that, and some anchoring points as well, where when we're really dysregulated, we might be able to bring ourselves back in. Sometimes that might be a mindfulness practice itself, and then sometimes mindfulness can kick us right out of that window, and we need to do something else in order to bring it back. Now, I look forward to it. I look forward to seeing you next week. See you then.